Welcome back to Adversity to Ascension, a podcast about turning adversity into meaning in your life. Hi again. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Dr. Sandra Cox. And today I'm going to be solo because I want to talk about the thing that is on the minds of at least half of this country since November 5th. In my practice, I see a lot of people from all walks of life, from ages 15 to 85. And the election is stirring up many emotions in many of my patients. Most are experiencing anxiety and fear. People are afraid, and many with good reason. So for the first part of this show, I'm going to fill you in on why so many people have grave concerns about losing their civil rights and their current standard of living under the Trump administration. And I know that some people may not like what I have to say, so that's okay. Then after we talk about that, we're going to be talking about what we can do on a personal and a collective level to improve our ability not just to survive what we might be up against, but to thrive as we face these probable adversities. The Republican Party ran a message of fear of people who are different than what the Republican Party has deemed to be normal. These include immigrants and the LGBTQ community, people who observe religions other than Christianity or don't observe any religion at all, people who have a different skin color, the Black and Indigenous communities, people who speak different languages, who have different cultures, even people with more education than most people have. And all of that fear-mongering was a successful message here in this country that is known as the Great Melting Pot. So it's not hard to understand why people who didn't vote in that way see a storm of xenophobia and hatred rapidly approaching. My patients who are people of color are already experiencing a change in attitude toward them from their white neighbors. And some have experienced for the first time racial slurs from people in their communities. My patients who are Jewish are fearful as they are hearing echoes of 1933 Germany. My patients who are members of or have loved ones in the LGBTQ community are intensely frightened due to the anti-LGBTQ and particularly the anti-trans rhetoric and legislation that has been growing over the past decade from Trump and the religious right. My patients who are immigrants are frightened of deportation, even as they are legal citizens. Women are terrified as well. We've all heard and seen the stories of women in states where abortion is banned, and in those states, women are dying due to lack of life-saving care for missed miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, and all sorts of pregnancy complications. Others are now realizing that Trump plans to do away with the ACA. That's also known as Obamacare. And a lot of people were all in favor of Obamacare being done away with, but they didn't understand that it is actually the same thing as the ACA. If that goes away, so do protections against losing their health insurance due to pre-existing conditions. And this will prevent families from keeping their children on their health insurance until age 26. The ACLU put out a statement that says, Trump has promised that if reelected, his administration will rescind federal policies that prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, and will assert that federal civil rights laws don't cover anti-LGBTQ discrimination. In addition to rolling back existing protections, a second Trump administration will proactively mandate discrimination by the federal government wherever it can. Lastly, and perhaps most ominously, if Trump returns to the White House, which he has, we expect his administration to use federal law, including laws meant to safeguard civil rights, as a cudgel to override critical state-level protections for transgender students and to force state and local governments, as well as private organizations, to allow or even perpetuate discrimination. The Trump administration has also pledged to erase transgender people from public life entirely by using federal laws, including obscenity laws, to criminalize gender nonconformity. Other LGBTQ protections, including Obergefell v. Hodges, are at risk, threatening to nullify established same-sex marriages. Trump is also determined to roll back environmental protections and to institute tariffs, which will drive up the price of goods and services. Now, I know that a lot of Trump supporters don't actually believe that he will do those things. But here are some facts. Recent studies have shown that women in GOP-controlled states with strict abortion bans are 3 times more likely to die of pregnancy complications. Already, reports of women dying have hit the news, and lawsuits have been filed. And since the election, a de facto effect of anti-abortion rhetoric is that there are reports of men and boys of all ages shouting, "Your body, my choice," to women and girls, even on playgrounds, affirming that rape culture is alive and well in the USA. And that's just the beginning. Also, consider the alarming amount of anti-LGBTQ legislation that's been proposed and passed in GOP-controlled states. The Human Rights Campaign is tracking over 750 pieces of anti-LGBTQ legislation in motion in states across the country. In 2024 alone, 46 anti-trans laws have been put into place in 17 states, affecting many aspects of life for trans people. The day after the election, one LGBTQ crisis line saw a 700% spike in calls due to fear engendered by the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric of the incoming administration. For that community, merely existing is now threatened. Fears that life-saving gender-affirming care will be outlawed are well-founded. Just within this week, the Supreme Court heard arguments against a Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care for minors. And as of this moment, it appears that SCOTUS is going to uphold that law. Even the ability of the transgender population to live authentically in society is under threat. In July 2024, House Republican Mary Miller introduced H.R. 9218, which proposes to outlaw anyone identifying as anything other than the physical or phenotypic sex with which they were born. These laws and proposed bills fly in the face of recommendations by 30 medical organizations that support gender-affirming care as life-saving for transgender youth and adults. And before anyone gets up in their conspiracy theories about children receiving sex change operations at the school nurse's office during recess, that's not happening. And keep in mind that gender-affirming care is guided by the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, or WPATH. WPATH is made up of nearly 2,000 professionals, including pediatricians, psychiatrists, primary care doctors, endocrinologists, surgeons, social workers, therapists, psychologists, lawyers, and anthropologists, and many other professionals who draw on then a huge number of clinical, sociological, and psychological studies on the effect of gender-affirming care or the lack thereof for people who desperately need it. So to dispel the myths, the opinion of WPATH is that gender-affirming care for minors should be limited to non-surgical biopsychosocial support for prepubescent minors. And what that actually means is giving them the opportunity to wear the clothes or style their hair or live as the gender with which they identify. Hormone therapy is reserved only for those who have begun the process of puberty, and usually at or after the age of 16, and after a thorough discussion between the patient, their parents, and their doctor about the potential risks and benefits. And as for the bathroom bans being proposed and legislated, a rigorous study was done at the Williams Institute at UCLA Law and published in 2018 and revealed that when bathrooms are made inclusive to trans women, there's no increase in the incident of assault on women. The bottom line is when gender-affirming care is denied to transgender minors, the risk of suicide increases by 73%. And as for the racial issue, the majority of Black and brown people in this country are now experiencing a surge of racism. Since the election, there have been anonymous text messages going out to Black and brown students of at least 3 HBCUs. In those texts, students are told to be prepared to be rounded up and taken to work on plantations. As it already was, the ban on affirmative action handed down by the conservative SCOTUS in 2023 has resulted in a significant drop in the admissions of Black, Latinx, and Indigenous students to colleges. Poorer labor market prospects for them, lower admissions of BIPOC students to STEM schools, and fewer minority candidates to medical schools and health-related fields. This all adds up to fewer economic opportunities through education, which then will further deteriorate the overall health of the BIPOC population. Studies have shown that higher education leads to people engaging in healthier lifestyles, being able to access good health care via improved financial health, improved stress management, enhanced awareness of mental health issues, and lower rates of chronic disease. The bottom line being that if we don't provide opportunities for all people to access higher education, we contribute to an unhealthy population. And if you happen to be concerned about the bottom line in the economy, that creates a greater drain on the healthcare resources. So now let's go on to the economy, because almost every Trump supporter thought that they were voting to improve the economy. But in June of 2024, Reuters, which is a news source with a 45.16 reliability rating, and that happens to be very good, reported that 16 Pulitzer Prize-winning economists had voiced grave concerns about Trump's economic policies. The economists cited Trump's proposed tariffs as their number one concern, stating consumer prices will skyrocket, driving inflation up from its current extreme low of 2.9%. And yes, you heard that right. Inflation is at an all-time low of 2.9% under the Biden economy. Trump says that he intends to do away with federal income tax altogether, instead gaining government revenues from tariffs. The problem is that individual federal income tax provides anywhere from 8% to 10.5% of the GDP, while tariffs are estimated to provide only 2% potentially. So how are we going to make up that difference? I don't think anyone really knows, except be ready for big cuts in government programs. Additionally, after an initial spike in stock prices, stocks have now fallen at the time of this recording, and the economic future of many Americans whose retirement is in stocks is uncertain. Most people don't realize that rampant corporate profiteering and monopoly formation have skyrocketed their cost of living, not inflation. Trump vows to make it easier for monopolies to form by reducing regulations on mergers. This will reduce competition in the market and drive up costs of goods and services. So many are predicting a rocky road for people in the U.S. over the next 4 years, and fear and loathing are at an all-time high, at least amongst those who did not vote for Trump. And I suspect there are doubts and buyer's remorse on the part of people who did vote for Trump at this point. So how do we not just cope, but thrive facing all of this? Without accurately predicting the future, we need to fortify ourselves to endure and overcome the adversity some of us are up against. I like to quote Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived 3 Nazi concentration camps and went on to write the book, Man's Search for Meaning. He felt that Having meaning and purpose in one's life, as well as meaningful social connections, are the most valuable assets we have or we can create in times of adversity. Connecting with others allows us to learn about their personal struggles, their fears, their shortcomings, and attributes. We find commonalities with one another, and that brings us closer together. And we can help each other in our communities. Connecting with others can open our hearts and minds to a greater understanding of one another. It gives us the opportunity to share resources and knowledge, as well as support one another. Connection with others lowers our stress levels and reduces anxiety, which in turn improves our cardiovascular health, our immune systems, and our ability to think critically. I often tell my patients that anxiety is the enemy of reason. You can't stop to solve a problem if you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. Research suggests that people with strong social connections have higher serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphin levels. And each of those neurotransmitters have a positive effect on our moods and functional capabilities. They promote pro-social behaviors, such as cooperation, and they decrease aggression. Our modernized world has created more isolation than at any other time in humanity. After all, we're supposed to be social creatures. We're not meant to be alone. A sustainable design architect I once knew viewed the development of the suburbs with houses with attached garages and garage doors that go up and down automatically as a detriment to human connection. People were no longer parking on the streets and waving at their neighbors as they walked to their houses. On the contrary, urban neighborhoods have no yards for kids to play in or occupants to hang out in. Therefore, parks are where kids play together, and stoops are where neighbors can sit and share time. This forms a bedrock of their community. Sustainable design urban planners are moving toward creating eco-friendly neighborhoods with green spaces where people can connect with nature and each other. But if you aren't the beneficiary of such neighborhoods, you may just have to create connections yourself. So reach out to friends and family whom you know are safe people to connect with. And you know what safety means to you. No one else can define that for you. Form coalitions of support within the immediate areas where you live. In doing so, you'll likely find a need that begs to be filled. Whether it's a struggling family, an elderly person who's alone and in need of help, maybe a single mother who needs help with childcare or transportation or shopping. But these connections are important. And also, having a sense of purpose as well as connection is vitally important. It helps us get through tough times. Helping others gives life meaning that many of us lack in the daily struggles of getting by. Wayne Dyer said, "When you take your attention off what the world can give to you and ask, what can I give the world turns around and asks, what can I give to you?" We can create abundance in our lives by behaving as if we already have it. And what better way than to give to others, either materially or through acts of service? A lot of us have formed parasocial connections as well through social media. I've been connecting on more personal levels with some of those people because we already know we share similar values. And in doing so, we're creating a network throughout the entire country and even other parts of the world. It's beautiful to see and to be a part of, because our geographical and social and educational and occupational and economic diversity, we can support one another in different ways. We've genuine love for one another, and I'm eternally grateful to the internet for making that possible. Additionally, adopt some new personal self-care habits that support your mental health. For instance, while you're having your coffee or whatever your morning routine is, write a gratitude list. Think of 3 things that you are really grateful for. They don't have to be big things. Nothing's too small to feel grateful for. even if it's merely the fact that you have clothes on your back, a modicum of food, or even a chair to sit on. Also, take time each day to observe the beauty around you, whether it be a smile on a stranger's face, the soft rustle of the wind through the trees, the song of a bird, the blue sky, twinkling of the stars, maybe the sound of the espresso machine in the coffee shop that's going to make that great coffee you love, or the beautiful, vibrant colors of the diversity around you. Listen to the music you love, dance, sing, have scents in your house that you love, like a diffuser or a candle. Give yourself flowers, or draw them and hang it on your refrigerator or your mirror. Remind yourself every day that life is precious and fleeting, and each moment is a gift. Don't squander those moments on regret about the past or worry about the future. Cherish each day. And don't give up on your hopes and dreams. Just because things look like they might be bad doesn't mean that you can't achieve what you want in your life. Imagine your best life coming true and allow yourself to meditate on that and feel the emotion of that wish fulfilled. Do that every day. Take 10 to 15 minutes to do that. And then take 1 or 2 actions each day to bring that new future into reality. A goal without a plan is just a dream. A plan without action will never be realized. Keep working on your dreams and stay positive. As you do so, have faith in yourself. And if you can be politically and socially active on a local level, do so. Engage in your city council and school board meetings. Be a part of your community and speak up for what you believe. Call out racism and bigotry when you see it. Don't stay quiet. And as someone once said about fighting against fascism, do not preemptively comply with fascism. Do not preemptively stay silent and go into the shadows, because that's what they want. They want to scare us into not having a voice, not speaking up for our fellow humans who need us so badly right now. Don't give up on them. Most importantly, unplug from mainstream media and some social media and the people in your life that bring you discomfort. Sure, it's important to stay informed, but you can do that in a few minutes on reliable news platforms. There's a reason why neuroscientists avoid listening to or watching the news. They cover only the worst, most fear-provoking subjects, and that's on purpose. It's designed to ramp up their ratings by keeping you in fear and anxiety, always wanting to stay tuned for the next bad thing that's happening. You can stay informed with reliable print sources. And I'm going to show on the screen a good website, and it will also be in the notes, but it is guides.library.harvard.edu/newsleans/the chart. And disconnecting from people who cause you discomfort may be difficult. Maybe they have opposing views that invalidate your values. Maybe they're intolerant of you or people you love. They could be your parents, your children, or other family members. Many families have been torn apart by the divided political viewpoints in this country. Only you know how to keep your peace of mind in the face of this kind of interpersonal conflict. You have to decide what feels most comfortable to you, and don't let anyone else tell you how you should feel or behave. We can love people from a distance, or we can love them in proximity and with tolerance. But that's your decision, and you should feel entitled to make it. And lastly, if you listen to podcasts, make them ones that will lift you up, educate you, and motivate you and inspire you. Even though we covered some rough stuff today, you might find this one to be all of those things. So I hope you will join me each week here for stories that will inspire and uplift you. And if you enjoy this content, please hit like, comment, and subscribe. Also, you can contact me at drsandracox@adversitytoascension.com, and that is with a number 2, not the word 2. That's drsandracox@adversitytoascension.com. See you next time, my friend.
You can be a fighter every single day.